so here we go. We're going to start today by doing what is called bird's eye view perspective. And as I said before, there is no vanishing point in bird's eye view. I'm sorry, there's no horizon line in bird's eye view, but there is a vanishing point. So the first thing I want you guys to do is make a dot right in the middle of the paper. That is going to be your vanishing point. Now, the next thing, this is up to you how closely you want to follow along with me or not. If you've not ever done perspective, you're probably going to want to follow me pretty closely. If you've done perspective, you can start adding to this, right? But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the roofs of the buildings, and I'm going to do this by picking 5 shapes, and I'm going to draw them all around the outside of this vanishing point. So, and again, you guys, this is practice. I'm not using the ruler yet. I'm just drawing them freehand. If they're not perfect, who cares, okay? So I'm just going to draw, I'm going to start with the square. Then I'll do a circle. And then maybe a triangle. I always like to do an L-shaped one because this is a little bit of a challenge. You can do a star. Yeah, I'm going to do, well, you want me to do a star? Or is that too crazy? Too crazy? All right, I'll stick to I'll do a rectangle. But I'll change it so it's like a little askew. If you're feeling crazy, go ahead and add a star in there. You can do that. You're not feeling crazy today? It does not, don't worry about the shape being perfect. Mine are not perfect. Yours do not have to be perfect. This is just practice for right now. You want to get perfect, save it for the real deal. Okay, so what I suggest is that you guys watch me do this and don't try to draw it along with me, because this is the kind of thing where when I do something, I do it real quick and you look down for a second and then you look back up and you're like, wait a minute, what'd you do? So watch me, and I'll just do one shape, and then you guys can do the same shape after I'm done. Okay, so I'm going to start with the square because it's the most straightforward, simplest one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to connect the vanishing point to each corner. So I'm working on the square. I'm going to start with this corner. As I said, I strongly suggest you watch and draw in a second. Just watch me do it, and then I'll give you some time to draw. Okay, so I'm going to connect that corner. I'm going to connect this corner to my vanishing point. And then I am going to connect this corner, and I have to hit my vanishing point. Now, the reason I want you to watch is because I'm going to run into a problem when I get to this corner. Because remember, I said you're going to want to connect each of your corners. Huh? You guys are going to do it in a second. I just made a line from this corner, and this corner that all connect at the vanishing point. So, watch your mouth. So I run into a problem when I hit this corner, which is that when I go to this corner to the vanishing point, when I go to draw a straight line, I am passing through the original shape that I drew. Which, if I'm going to draw this building so it looks like it's glass and I can see through it, is fine, but that's not the look I'm going for. I'm trying to create an opaque object, a building. So anytime, for this particular example, I'm going to connect a corner and I am going to end up drawing through the original shape that I did. I'm not going to draw that line. Okay? I'm going to skip it. So you guys, I'm not going to draw any other ones yet. You guys try the square. See if you can copy that. Now, like I said, some of you guys are veterans at this, and you're like, yeah. If you want to like start doing some of the other shapes, you can try on your own. How'd it go, Dan? Did you get it? You still doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the next shape that I'm going to do I want to do the rectangle? I'm going to skip the rectangle. I'm going to let you guys do the rectangle. Why don't you guys try the rectangle on your own based on what we just did with the square, if you haven't done it already. Try the rectangle on your own. I'll leave it, and then I'll do it in a second so you can see.
Is there a line I'm missing?
Nope. Yes, because we're not done. But for right now, you're exactly where you should be. But I haven't shown you how to finish the shape yet. What you can do is you can add some more shapes, and you can keep going. And you can add more buildings here and here. You know what I mean? Like you can keep going to a different challenges. You did it exactly right, because when you went to connect this to this, you were going to connect Well, you just gotta practice. That comes with practice. All right, so I'm going to add my rectangle. Now, it did come up with at least one person, and maybe some of you guys didn't say, but depending on where you put the rectangle and what angle you put the rectangle, you could have different answers, right? Because remember what I said is anytime, like mine is angled, so I'm actually going to get to see two sides of this rectangle. But if you made it really straight, it very well could have been that when you went to make the next line, you were going to pass through the original shape, so you couldn't do it. And it's entirely possible, depending on how you drew it, that you only see one side of the building, right? So the answers are going to be different if you draw them in a different way. All right, so the next one I want to do is the circle. And the reason I want to show you the circle is because a circle is a challenge because there's no corners, right? So how do you do an object that doesn't have a corner? All right, so this is one of the things, like, well, put your pencils down and watch me do it, because then you guys are going to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pencil on the vanishing point, and then I'm going to put my ruler, and then I can pivot it. Now, while I pivot this, I'm staying on the vanishing point, but the second I touch that circle or come close to it, that's going to be what I consider to be the edge, and I'm going to draw the line. Then I'm going to do the same thing in the other direction. So put my ruler like this, turn, turn, turn until I actually touch the circle, and then I'm going to connect and draw that line. So try to do not only the circle, but the triangle and the L shape too, and see what you come up with. Remember that anytime you're going to draw a line through the original shape, you don't want to draw that line unless you're trying to create the effect that it's made out of glass and you can see through it. With the L, I have the interior corner to contend with.
Should we do the L?
Yeah, do the L. Do them all. Do them all, and if you think you got it, try the star. Add something else to the outside. Try something different. Challenge yourself.
Gerard?
Yes. Yes. You can add as many buildings as you want. In whatever shape you want. Try the same shape at a different angle. You know?
Why would I do that?
And in a different position.
Is it possible to make calls?
To make what? Yes. Yeah. In this, I think what I would probably start off with is how do I do that? It would be strange because it's skinnier at the top, you know what I mean? And so that's a good question. I have to play with that one. I don't know. I mean, my instinct is to do something like small, but then it would be going the opposite direction. Actually, I think. Can I draw it on there?
Yes. I'd rather just a little circle here and is there a picture of where we'll be able to teach it?
Well, if you were looking very you know what I mean? I think I'd think about that one. That's a good question. Okay, so you might notice that these looking a little bit weird and a little bit pointy. So we're not done with these yet. We still have to draw the bottom part of the building. Okay? So this is where the erasing comes into play. So I'm going to start again with the square. So again, I suggest that you watch me do it and then you do it yourself. Things start getting complicated, and I shouldn't say complicated, but perspective will mess with your head because you're going to want to do things and you're going to feel like you need to do things a certain way, and it'll at times feel a little weird or uncomfortable. So you have to kind of obey the rule and not what you think or feel like you should do. Okay, so let me show you the rule. So I'm going to start with the square because, like I said, it's the most straightforward of the shapes. But when I want to draw the bottom of the building, I can choose how tall or how short I want the building to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the original side here, and I'm going to line my ruler up with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my ruler back, attempting to keep the line straight with this. And as I go back, I can decide, okay, I think I'm going to end the building there. No, I want it a little shorter. No, I want it a little taller. As long as my ruler doesn't turn, I'm in business. So I want to make sure that I stay straight, and then I'm going to create a line. Now, this is what I see a lot. I see people then just quickly go and add a crooked line like this. But if I were to make the mark here, and I'll make it light so I can erase it, this mark does not stay parallel to this side, and I need it to stay parallel to this side. So this is the thing that's going to happen to a lot of you, and it's going to mess with your head because it feels more correct to do this. But what is actually correct is this. So I'm going to line my ruler up. I'm going to pull back, and I'm going to try to keep it straight with the original contour of that shape. And when I hit the point where I get to the other mark, then I'm going to draw that. That is the correct mark. So now I can erase out this other stuff, and I will have a freestanding box. Okay? So try it with your square. I'll do it again with the rectangle, so if you want to see me do it again, you can, but I want you to try it. If you feel like you got it, go ahead and try it. If you feel like you don't got it, watch. Here's my original line. I'm going to make the bottom of the building here. And then I'm going to line up this side and add this line so it's parallel to that line, and erase out all this other stuff. Okay, so try that with your square at least. I'll get to these other shapes. If you think you can do it, try it. But I'll get to these other shapes in a minute.
Can we make the buildings like super tall?
You can make them as tall as you want.
Okay. Make it super small.
That same building that looks super tall now, you can turn it into a very short building depending on how far away you decide to make those lines. So can you see that you're doing exactly what I said a lot of people do? This. So this line is incorrect. It has to stay parallel. Yes, sir.
You have to go on that.
You can, if you think you can do it, help me do it without me. Okay. What about the rectangle? Do you think you can do that? Oh, you did it. What about the L? Do you think you can do it? Try it. You're going the more you can figure it out by yourself, you're going to learn better than just following along with everything I do. The best way to learn is to try some things on your own. And the cool thing about perspective, I think I said this before, is if it doesn't look right, well then it's not right. And then you just have to figure out how to do it right. But it's kind of a dead giveaway. You kind of just look at it and you go, that looks weird. What looks weird about that? You see what I'm saying? All right, I'm going to go on to some of these other shapes and draw the bottoms. So if you couldn't figure some of yours out, you want to look up here. The triangle is probably the most self-explanatory because you have this. This is parallel. The circle is a little weird though because there's no corners. So what do? Well, you kind of have to free draw it because you can't draw the curve with your ruler. But what I'm looking to do is I'm trying to match the curve that I see here. So I kind of sometimes trace over it a couple times to get the feel for it. And then I just try to free draw that same curve somewhere else within the lines and erase. So I'm following the same rule because I'm keeping it parallel to whatever the original shape was. I just can't use the ruler. With the L shape, it's kind of tricky, the L shape, because I've got to do this direction, and then I have to pay attention to this direction, and that can be really, really skinny, like mine is. So I barely move my ruler at all, and I might barely make a mark. This is when mechanical pencils are actually pretty nice, because they draw a really, really skinny line. But your L shape has to jog over because you have this line, and this line to stay parallel to. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to add some details to this. We're going to get into some windows, some chimneys, and all that kind of stuff. But for today, we got to be done. So I need my rulers back. Put your papers anywhere you can access them tomorrow, whether it's in your folder or in your bin in the back.